For millions of television viewers in the 1960s and 70s, Brian Keith was the picture of warmth and fatherly wisdom. As Uncle Bill on Family Affair, he became a beloved TV dad, guiding his on-screen nieces and nephew through life's ups and downs with a gentle hand and a wry sense of humor. But behind the scenes, not everyone was charmed by Keith's gruff exterior and old-school ways. In fact, one of his most famous co-stars harbored a deep resentment toward him, a tension that simmered for years and left fans wondering what really happened on set. Now, decades later, the truth about why she utterly hated Brian Keith is finally coming to light. To understand the roots of this animosity, you have to go back to the early days of Family Affair. The show, which debuted in 1966, was an instant hit, catapulting its cast to stardom almost overnight. Brian Keith, already a respected film and television actor, was cast as Bill Davis, the bachelor uncle suddenly tasked with raising 3 orphan children. His co-star, the talented and precocious Kathy Garver, played Sissy, the eldest of the siblings. On screen, their relationship was loving and supportive. Off-screen, however, things were far more complicated. According to crew members and fellow actors, the tension between Keith and Garver began almost immediately. Keith, a veteran of Hollywood's golden age, was known for his no-nonsense approach to acting. He valued professionalism, punctuality, and discipline above all else. Garver, on the other hand, was a young actress eager to prove herself, full of energy and ideas. She often asked questions about her character, suggested changes to the script, and sought feedback from directors and writers. While some saw her enthusiasm as a sign of dedication, Keith reportedly saw it as a challenge to his authority. The generational divide between the two stars only made matters worse. Keith, who had worked with legends like John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, believed in a strict hierarchy on set. He expected younger actors to defer to their elders and to follow instructions without question. Garver, raised in a new era of Hollywood, believed in collaboration and creative input. The result was a series of clashes, some subtle, some not so subtle, that set the tone for their working relationship. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere could be tense. Crew members recall moments when Keith would openly criticize Garver's acting choices or dismiss her questions with a curt remark. Garver, for her part, grew increasingly frustrated by what she saw as Keith's condescension and unwillingness to listen. She confided in friends that she felt stifled and unappreciated, her contributions overshadowed by Keith's larger-than-life presence. The rivalry between Keith and Garver wasn't just about screen time or creative control. It was also deeply personal. Garver reportedly felt that Keith didn't respect her as an equal, and she bristled at what she perceived as his dismissive attitude. Keith, meanwhile, was frustrated by Garver's unwillingness to simply do her job, and her tendency to challenge his authority. The two rarely socialized outside of work, and their interactions were often limited to what was necessary for filming. As the years went on, the animosity between Keith and Garver became an open secret on set. While they remained consummate professionals in front of the cameras, the tension was palpable to those who worked with them. Some crew members have even suggested that the rivalry added an extra spark to their on-screen dynamic, fueling the emotional energy that made Family Affair such a hit. But the real reason for Garver's deep-seated dislike of Keith went beyond professional jealousy or creative differences. In recent years, previously unreleased interviews and memoirs have revealed that Garver felt genuinely hurt by what she saw as Keith's lack of support during a difficult period in her life. When Garver faced personal struggles, she reportedly expected more empathy and understanding from her longtime co-star. Instead, she felt isolated and dismissed, a feeling that only deepened her resentment. Now, with the benefit of hindsight and new revelations, fans are finally beginning to understand the complex relationship between Kathy Garver and Brian Keith. It's a story of ambition, pride, and the sometimes painful realities of working in the spotlight. A reminder that even the most beloved shows can hide secrets just beneath the surface. As the seasons of Family Affair rolled on, the rift between Kathy Garver and Brian Keith only deepened. What began as a clash of personalities and work styles soon became a personal Cold War, with both stars retreating into their own corners of the set. The tension was so thick that even the crew and supporting cast felt its weight. Some days, the atmosphere was so icy that it was a wonder the show's trademark warmth and family spirit ever made it to the screen. Kathy Garver's frustration was compounded by the fact that, despite her popularity with fans, she felt increasingly marginalized by the show's writers and producers. Scripts continued to focus on Uncle Bill's wisdom and the children's antics, while Sissy's role was often reduced to background support or simple teenage dilemmas. Garver, who had spent years honing her craft and was eager to take on more challenging material, felt that her talents were being wasted. She longed for more meaningful storylines and opportunities to showcase her range, but those chances rarely came. Brian Keith, meanwhile, was dealing with his own pressures. As the show's unofficial leader, he felt responsible for maintaining its success and keeping the cast and crew on track. Keith was known for his meticulous approach to acting and his insistence on professionalism. He expected everyone to bring their best to the set, and he had little patience for what he saw as unnecessary drama or youthful exuberance. To him, Garver's complaints seemed like distractions from the work at hand. The two stars' personalities couldn't have been more different. Keith was reserved, methodical, and focused on the big picture. Garver was energetic, emotional, and fiercely protective of her character. Their clashes were inevitable, and over time, small disagreements escalated into full-blown arguments. According to those who were there were days when Garver would refuse to speak to Keith except when cameras were rolling. Keith, for his part, would respond with cool detachment, making it clear that he was there to do a job, not make friends. The situation reached a breaking point during the show's later seasons, when Garver faced personal struggles off-set. She suffered from anxiety and the pressures of growing up in the public eye, but she was determined not to let it affect her performance. Still, the long hours and emotional demands of the role took their toll. Garver reportedly felt that Keith, as the show's star and a senior member of the cast, could have done more to advocate for her or to ease her workload. Instead, she felt that he remained distant and unsympathetic, focused solely on his own responsibilities. This sense of abandonment was particularly painful for Garver, who had always prided herself on her professionalism and dedication. She had hoped that years of working together would have fostered a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. Instead, she felt isolated and unappreciated, her contributions overshadowed by Keith's commanding presence. The crew and other cast members did their best to keep the peace, but the underlying tension was impossible to ignore. Johnny Whittaker and Anissa Jones, who played Jodie and Buffy, later recalled that the set could be a difficult place to work, especially when Garver and Keith were at odds. They were both such strong personalities. Whittaker said in an interview, "Sometimes it was like watching two storms collide." Despite the behind-the-scenes drama, Family Affair continued to be a ratings juggernaut. Audiences had no idea of the turmoil brewing just out of frame. The show's success was a testament to the professionalism of its cast, who managed to deliver memorable performances even when personal relationships were strained. In the years after the show ended, both Keith and Garver reflected on their time together in different ways. Keith, ever the stoic, rarely spoke ill of his co-stars, preferring to focus on the positive aspects of his career. Garver, however, was more candid in private letters and conversations, expressing her disappointment and lingering resentment toward Keith. She felt that he had never truly understood or appreciated her, and that their working relationship had been defined by missed opportunities and unspoken grievances. It wasn't until after both stars had moved on from Family Affair that the full extent of their feud became public knowledge. Letters, interviews, and memoirs from those who worked on the show painted a picture of two talented, passionate individuals whose differences ultimately kept them from ever truly connecting. The story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith is a reminder that even the brightest stars can cast long shadows, and that sometimes the greatest dramas play out far from the cameras. As the years passed and Family Affair became a staple of classic television reruns, the complicated relationship between Kathy Garver and Brian Keith continued to shape the way both stars remembered their time on the show. While the public saw a loving, supportive family on screen, those who worked behind the scenes knew that the reality was far more complicated. The tension between Garver and Keith was an open secret, and it often spilled over into the day-to-day production of the series. One of the most telling signs of the rift was the way Garver and Keith interacted during rehearsals. According to those who were there, Garver would often challenge Keith's suggestions or push back against his interpretations of scenes. She was fiercely protective of Sissy's character, insisting on certain emotional beats or line deliveries that she felt were true to the role. Keith, who saw himself as the show's anchor, sometimes viewed these challenges as disruptive or unnecessary. Their creative differences became a recurring source of friction, with each star convinced that their vision was the right one. The show's producers and directors did their best to mediate, but the underlying issues were never fully resolved. At times, the tension led to heated arguments, with Garver accusing Keith of trying to control the show and Keith accusing Garver of being difficult to work with. Other times, the two would simply avoid each other, keeping their interactions strictly professional and limiting conversation to what was required for the scene. Despite these challenges, both Garver and Keith remained consummate professionals when the cameras were rolling. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, and their performances were a key ingredient in the show's success. Fans adored the dynamic between Uncle Bill and Sissy, never suspecting the real-life animosity that simmered just beneath the surface. In fact, some crew members have speculated that the tension actually enhanced their performances, adding an extra layer of energy and authenticity to their scenes together. Offset, the divide between Garver and Keith only grew wider. While other cast members would occasionally socialize or attend events together, Garver and Keith rarely spent time together outside of work. Garver was known to confide in close friends about her frustrations, expressing her belief that Keith's influence over the show had limited her opportunities and stifled her creativity. Keith, meanwhile, focused on his own projects and maintained a cordial but distant relationship with his co-star. The situation was further complicated by the pressures of fame and the relentless pace of television production. Both Garver and Keith were seasoned performers, but the demands of a hit sitcom were unlike anything they had experienced before. The long hours, tight deadlines, and constant scrutiny from fans and the media took a toll on everyone involved. For Garver, who was already dealing with personal struggles, the stress was particularly acute. She often felt that her concerns were dismissed or minimized, and she blamed Keith for not using his influence to advocate for her. As the show entered its final seasons, the strain became even more apparent. Garver's frustration with her limited role and lack of creative input reached a boiling point, while Keith remained steadfast in his approach to the show. The two stars rarely spoke outside of their scenes, and the sense of camaraderie that had once existed among the cast began to fade. In the years after, Family Affair ended. The true nature of Garver and Keith's relationship slowly came to light. Interviews with cast and crew, as well as personal letters and memoirs, revealed the depth of their animosity and the ways in which it shaped their time on the show. For fans, the revelation was both surprising and poignant, a reminder that even the most beloved television families can be fractured by real-life conflicts. Today, the story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith serves as a fascinating chapter in the history of classic television. It's a tale of ambition, pride, and the challenges of working in the spotlight, a story that continues to captivate audiences and shed light on the complexities of fame. As Family Affair drew to a close, the tension between Kathy Garver and Brian Keith reached its peak. The show's final seasons were marked by a sense of fatigue and frustration, not just for Garver and Keith, but for the entire cast and crew. The once joyful set had become a place of quiet resignation, where everyone did their best to maintain professionalism despite the underlying discord. For Garver, the end of the series was bittersweet. She was proud of the work she had done and the character she had created, but she also felt a sense of relief at leaving behind the daily strain of working with Keith. In the months following the series' finale, Garver reflected on her time with Family Affair and the complicated relationship she had with her co-star. She spoke candidly in interviews and memoirs about the challenges she faced, both as a young actress in a male-dominated industry and as a creative individual who often felt stifled by Keith's authority. "I learned a lot from Brian," Garver admitted in one interview. "He was a talented actor and a consummate professional, but he was also set in his ways, and that made it hard for me to find my own voice." Garver's honesty about her struggles resonated with many who had faced similar challenges in their own careers. She became an advocate for young actors, encouraging them to speak up for themselves and to seek out mentors who would support their growth. "It's important to have people around you who believe in your potential," Garver said. "I wish I'd had more of that when I was starting out." For Brian Keith, the end of Family Affair marked a turning point in his career. He went on to star in other successful projects, but he rarely spoke about his time on the show or his relationship with Garver. Those who knew him best say that he was proud of the work they had done together, but that he also carried regrets about the way things ended. In private moments, Keith reportedly expressed admiration for Garver's talent and determination, even if he never found a way to bridge the gap between them. The story of Garver and Keith's feud became a subject of fascination for fans and television historians alike. As more details emerged, it became clear that their conflict was about more than just creative differences or clashing personalities. It was a reflection of the broader challenges faced by women in Hollywood, especially during an era when male stars and producers held most of the power. Garver's experience was not unique. Many actresses of her generation struggled to be heard and respected in an industry that often valued obedience over originality. Despite the difficulties, Garver has always maintained a sense of gratitude for her time on Family Affair. She credits the show with launching her career and giving her a platform to connect with audiences around the world. "Sissy will always be a part of me," she said. "I'm proud of what we accomplished, even if it wasn't always easy." For fans, the revelation of the feud between Garver and Keith adds a new layer of complexity to their memories of Family Affair. It's a reminder that the magic of television is often the result of hard work, compromise, and sometimes personal sacrifice. The warmth and love that viewers saw on screen were real, but they were also hard-won, born out of the dedication and resilience of actors who gave their all, even when the camera stopped rolling. As Garver continues to share her story, she hopes that others will learn from her experiences. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. She advises young performers. Your voice matters, and your contributions are valuable. Her journey is a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of self-respect, and the enduring impact of speaking one's truth. The story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith is more than just a Hollywood feud. It's a window into the realities of working in the entertainment industry, and a reminder that even the most beloved shows have their share of secrets and struggles. As time passed and the cast of Family Affair moved on to new projects and chapters in their lives, the story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith's feud became a subject of fascination for fans and Hollywood insiders alike. The more people learned about the behind-the-scenes drama, the more they realized how much the pressures of fame, creative ambition, and personal pride can shape, and sometimes strain, even the most successful partnerships. For many, the tale of these two stars was a reminder that the world of television is not always as light-hearted as it appears on screen. In the years after Family Affair ended, both Garver and Keith continued to work, but their paths rarely crossed. Garver found success as a voice actress and author, while Keith took on a variety of film and television roles, including the lead in Hardcastle and McCormick. Despite their professional achievements, both stars carried the weight of their unresolved conflict. Friends and colleagues noted that Garver became more outspoken about her experiences, using her platform to advocate for young actors and to shed light on the challenges faced by women in the industry. Keith, meanwhile, became more reflective in his later years, often speaking about the importance of kindness and understanding in the entertainment business. The feud between Garver and Keith also became a case study for those interested in the psychology of creative collaboration. Experts have pointed out that the intense environment of a hit television show can amplify existing personality differences and create a breeding ground for resentment. In the case of Garver and Keith, their mutual stubbornness and unwillingness to compromise only deepened the divide. Both were perfectionists, both fiercely protective of their characters, and both convinced that their vision was the right one. For the other cast members, the feud was a source of stress but also a lesson in professionalism. Johnny Whitaker and Anissa Jones, who played Jodie and Buffy, often spoke about how they tried to stay neutral, focusing on their own performances and doing their best to keep the mood light on set. They admired both Garver and Keith for their talent and dedication, but they also wished that the two stars could have found a way to reconcile before it was too late. The legacy of the feud has also sparked important conversations about the treatment of women in Hollywood, especially during the era when Family Affair was filmed. Kathy Garver, despite her immense talent and popularity, often felt sidelined and underappreciated. Her frustration was not just with Keith, but with a system that frequently relegated women to supporting roles and failed to recognize their contributions. In many ways, Garver's struggle for respect and creative input mirrored the experiences of countless other actresses of her generation. Brian Keith, for his part, was a product of his time, a leading man who was used to being in charge and having his voice heard. While he was respected for his work ethic and professionalism, he sometimes failed to see how his actions affected those around him. In later interviews, Keith expressed regret over the way things ended with Garver, acknowledging that he could have done more to bridge the gap between them. For fans, the story of Garver and Keith's feud adds a bittersweet note to the legacy of Family Affair. It's a reminder that even the most beloved shows are shaped by the real lives and emotions of the people who bring them to life. The laughter and joy that audiences experienced were, in part, the result of hard work, sacrifice, and sometimes personal pain. Today, The Feud is remembered not just as a Hollywood scandal, but as a human story, one that speaks to the challenges of collaboration, the need for empathy, and the importance of forgiveness. As new generations discover Family Affair, they do so with a greater appreciation for the complexities behind the scenes. The show remains a classic, and the performances of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith continue to delight audiences. But the story of their relationship serves as a powerful reminder that even the brightest stars can struggle with the same hopes, fears, and disappointments as anyone else. As the years have gone by, the story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith's feud has become more than just a behind-the-scenes Hollywood anecdote. It's a lens through which we can better understand the human side of television history. Their story is a reminder that even the most iconic shows are built on the complex relationships of real people, each with their own ambitions, insecurities, and struggles. The tension between Garver and Keith, once hidden behind the laughter and warmth of Family Affair, now stands as a testament to the challenges of working in the spotlight and the cost of unresolved conflict. For fans, learning the truth about their relationship has added a new layer of meaning to the show. Watching Uncle Bill and Sissy share scenes, knowing the real-life tension that simmered just out of frame, makes their performances all the more impressive. It's a testament to the professionalism of both actors that they were able to deliver such memorable, heartfelt moments despite their personal differences. Their ability to separate work from emotion is something that many in the industry still admire. The story also serves as a cautionary tale for anyone working in creative fields. The pressures of collaboration, the clash of egos, and the struggle for recognition are universal challenges, whether you're on a Hollywood set or in any other workplace. The feud between Garver and Keith shows how easily misunderstandings can fester when communication breaks down, and how pride can prevent even the most talented individuals from finding common ground. In the years since their passing, both Kathy Garver and Brian Keith have been remembered for their immense contributions to entertainment. Garver's portrayal of Sissy remains one of the most beloved characters in family television, her warmth and sincerity inspiring generations of viewers. Keith, with his long and varied career, is celebrated not only for Family Affair, but also for his work in film and television spanning decades. Their legacies endure, not just because of their talent, but because of the authenticity they brought to their craft. The lessons from their story have not been lost on those who followed in their footsteps. Modern actors and creators often cite the importance of empathy, open communication, and mutual respect in building successful collaborations. The entertainment industry, while still competitive and demanding, has become more aware of the need to support artists both on and off the screen. The hope is that stories like Garver and Keith's will encourage future generations to prioritize understanding and kindness, even in the face of creative differences. For the families and friends of both stars, the feud is a bittersweet memory. Those who knew them best have spoken about the good times as well as the challenges, remembering moments of laughter, camaraderie, and shared achievement. While the conflict between Garver and Keith was real, it was only one part of their lives, a chapter in a much larger story of dedication, resilience, and the pursuit of excellence. As fans continue to revisit Family Affair, they do so with a deeper appreciation for the people behind the characters. The show's enduring popularity is a tribute to the hard work and passion of everyone involved, including Garver and Keith. Their story is a reminder that greatness often comes at a cost, and that the most memorable art is often born from the most complicated circumstances. In the end, the reason Kathy Garver utterly hated Brian Keith was rooted in a mix of professional rivalry, personal disappointment, and the all-too-human desire for respect and understanding. Their inability to reconcile is a poignant reminder of the importance of empathy and forgiveness, both in show business and in life. While their feud may have cast a shadow over their time together, it also highlights the depth of their commitment to their craft and the lasting impact they made on television history. So, as we remember the laughter, the lessons, and the unforgettable moments of Family Affair, let's also remember the lessons learned from the real lives behind the scenes. The story of Kathy Garver and Brian Keith is a powerful reminder that even in the world of make-believe, the emotions are very real, and that sometimes the greatest stories are the ones that happen when the cameras stop rolling.